So moving on, we talked about Cuomo killing grandma. We talked about Joe Biden being okay with genocide. The the death that really is sad is Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh died today. I'm recording this on on February 17th of 2021. It's really sad. Some of the I've been hearing this a lot today, all over the internet and all over the news. A lot of people around my age talking about how calling themselves Rush babies. I remember listening to Rush Limbaugh in the car with my dad. I remember listening to him when it was, in the car with my grandmother. I remember listening to Rush almost my entire life. I hadn't really listened to Rush in a long time because my personal political beliefs had become a bit more libertarian. So there was started to become too much stuff that he was saying that I just I couldn't get on board with, as far as from a political perspective. But he's really who kind of kept me interested in politics for almost all my life, essentially. For basically in high school and all the way through college, he kind of really kept me involved in politics. I would listen to his show almost every day for a while. I at least listened to it for about an hour a day because I remember I had a job that would take me about an hour to get to work, and his show would be on my drive. So I got to listen to that, and it was a lot of people hated him because they'd pull what he would say out of context, or they would take something from his show and just lambast it when they have no clue what he was actually doing. You actually would have to listen to Russ's show every day for a month to really kind of understand the kind of sense of humor, and the kind of just the what he was doing. To really understand what he was doing, you had to listen to that show for a good 30 days in a row. You had to really kind of understand. I remember I hadn't heard it. So in 2008, when the LA Times had run that article that was entitled "Barack the Magic Negro," talking about how Barack Obama why he was so great as a candidate, and Rush Limbaugh came out with the song. I had not heard the song "Barack the Magic Negro," and I did not hear it initially, but when I heard a story about it, I had been listening to Rush for years, and it made perfect sense. He took a news article that was absurd and turned it into a song that was absurd, and it made perfect sense. I immediately knew, okay, this was Rush Limbaugh. This was just a funny bit, and that song to me was hilarious because, for me personally, when Barack Obama was running for president in 2008, sure, would it be nice to finally have a black president? That would be great. Yes, I think it's time for us to get, finally have that. I didn't want that particular black guy to be president. I would have preferred someone, like a Herman Cain, someone like a Condoleezza Rice, someone who was more to my political stances. But yeah, of course, if we have a qualified black person, great. That would have been wonderful. But for people to go overboard and gush over Obama and call him the Magic Negro, and then Rush Limbaugh pokes fun at that, but Rush is the racist, not the person who originally came up with that term. That always, to me, was actually what made Rush Limbaugh fun to listen to, because he was edgy for my parents' generation, and I like that. He was, because it wasn't really edgy, it was just kind of that's silly. So it was kind of, I like listening to him. As I got older, like I said, my political beliefs tended to slant a bit more libertarian. I started thinking, Rush, your conservatism is a bit too authoritarian. he advocated for more government control in a lot of places where I was like, no, if you're legitimately a small government conservative, we really shouldn't be doing that. By and large, I mean, if Rush Limbaugh had run for president, I probably would have voted for him. So, but he is Rush Limbaugh he's the Bret Hart of the conservative movement. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And if you don't know that analogy, he's the Tom Brady of the conservative movement. He is the GOAT. And if you don't get that reference, he is the greatest. Just like Muhammad Ali in boxing. So he is that. In the conservative movement, he's really, after Ronald Reagan, he's the only reason the conservative movement's been able to make any kind of, really keep any kind of foothold in the political realm. He kept our conservatism on kind of the straight and narrow for the most part. We got a little out of whack a lot of times, but when we were at the worst, when the conservative movement was at its worst, which since Ronald Reagan, it was at its worst in 2009. And Rush Limbaugh was kind of the man at that time. He was essentially, the people said, they were trying to say this as an insult, that Rush Limbaugh was actually the de facto head of the Republican Party. To me, that was fine, because Republicans had lost our way since 2004. We completely lost our way. George W. Bush turned out to not really be, turned out to have a very horrible second term and not be the president that I thought he was going to be in 2004 when I voted for him. So Rush Limbaugh kind of getting us back. I believe he kept us on the straight and narrow. He was that voice out in the ether, kind of saying, "Hey, get your shit together." And Republicans got their shit together. Made great strides in 2010. Took back the House in 2010. We end up nominating a sniveling little weasel in Mitt Romney in 2012. Another person I had to hold my nose to vote for. And we lost that. And we ended up losing some houses or some Senate seats. But it wasn't that bad. And then in 2014, we took back the Senate. And to be honest, it really is. You can talk about how Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump in 2016, how they kind of created this great movement. They're the reason why we have, a 6-seat majority on the Supreme Court right now, where it's 6 Republican appointees. And that's great and all. But really, it all stems from, at our darkest time since the Reagan years for the conservative movement, which was in 2009, Rush Limbaugh being the de facto head of the Republican Party, it's been a decent run for the last 11 or 12 years. So from me, I want to say rest in peace, Rush Limbaugh. You are the greatest. You are the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. You're the GOAT. And my thoughts and prayers are obviously with his family and his wife. If you haven't listened to his wife actually was the one who went on the air today and announced his death. And I mean, even I started to almost tear up because it was really sad and it was rough. So Rush, rest in peace. And that's all I have for today. I'm going to come back again on Sunday, and we'll have another episode of Filthy Heathens podcast drop at that time. I want to thank you all for tuning in to me and letting me rant again for a little bit. Just remember, Mickey Mouse does business with Communist China, so keep that in mind. And I'll talk to you next time.